Hey, good kind people, what is going on? You are checking out a all new RCWR show. Lee Sanders here. What's good, y'all? Hope y'all had a fantastic weekend. Mine's was okay. It went by too quick, I would have to say. I really believe it went by too quick. This whole summer, I think, has just been going by a little bit too fast for me, for my personal taste. But hey, man, it's all good. It is what it is. I just know in the blink of an eye, the next thing you know, before you know it, bam, it's gonna be late August and AWESOMECON week is gonna be here, because now we are just less than 4 weeks away. I think at this point now we're about maybe 3.5 weeks away, give or take, from AWESOMECON. So yeah, I don't know, kind of crazy. But yeah, hopefully you guys had a fantastic weekend. Raw went off the air a couple of minutes ago. Love the fact that it pretty much opened up with Nikki Ash, and it closed with Nikki Ash. I'm not sure how you guys kind of feel about that. I know that there were some house shows that were done, and in case you had missed the news from when we talked about it last week, John Cena signed up to do a good bulk of those house shows. So if there was ever a reason to go on ahead, represent, go check out the WWE, and you know they're going to be doing a live show in your neck of the woods, might actually be a good time to go, because there's just no telling how long it's going to be until the next go round you're able to see John Cena right after he's done doing what he needs to do going in the SummerSlam and all that, because you know he's got to promote that next Suicide Squad movie, and this Lord only knows what other projects he's got lining up and all that. But yeah, his dates going in the SummerSlam, mad props, because I mean, he is working multiple dates within the week. He's working multiple house shows going into the weekends there. Mad props to him. Now don't worry, you're still going to see him on some of those SmackDowns, occasionally on some of those Raws as well, but it's really smart how WWE is going about doing it, I would have to say, as far as those house shows, because what I've been saying for years on this show, do those house shows as if, man, if you didn't go to that house show, you missed out, because this cool thing happened and this happened. Oh man, there was a title change, and man, this Hall of Famer had showed up. Make it totally unique for that particular city that you're doing that house show in. I personally feel so. WWE off to a pretty decent start so far. Let's see if they can keep up in that. Now, how we're going to do this show tonight, we're going to do this pretty short and sweet. By the way, I noticed the past 2, maybe even 3 live shows that we did, I noticed that my audio was not syncing up to my lips. So if you guys that happen to watch the shows live, if you ever notice that what I'm saying isn't quite matching up, it looks a little bit out of sync, let me know, and I might be able to do some stuff on the fly to try and fix that. But I did some troubleshooting right before we went live tonight, so hopefully all of that is squared away. But if not, just let me know and I'll try to see what I can do at my end here. So, but yeah, what we're going to do with the show tonight, we're going to keep it short and sweet as far as what we're covering. We're going to cover big bulk of the show. We're going to talk about tonight's Raw, and then I definitely want to tackle the shitstorm that came about over the weekend with regards to Eddie Guerrero. And I don't know how it started. I'm not going to even mention any names, but social media was ablazing, because it all had pretty much started on Twitter, where someone or a group of people made the comment that Eddie Guerrero at best was a B+ player, and that just had a lot of people talking. I lived through a big bulk of Eddie Guerrero's career, so for those of you that maybe the first rodeo round, you missed some of the things that I've had to say about Eddie Guerrero over the years, I'm more than happy to revisit here tonight while tackling that great little debate that's floating around. I think you'll find what I have to say maybe to be a little bit surprising or expected, depending on your cup of tea. But yeah, we're just going to really kind of focus on those. I know a lot of stuff had went down over the weekend, including what went down with GCW's wrestling event. Shout out to Matt Cardona. Congrats to Matt Cardona, the new GCW champion. Fantastic. We'll talk a lot more about that on Wednesday's RCWR show, because you know how we like to go a little bit all over the place on that respected show. By the way, AEW Dark Elevation, it did air earlier tonight. Got the card for how that's looking, by the way. Check this out. This was your card for AEW Dark Elevation. Luther with Serpentico taking on Lee Johnson with Dustin Rhodes. Pac taking on Chuck Taylor. Scorpio Sky face Fuego del Sol. The Bunny and Maddie Ronkowski took on Chris Statlander and Tay Conti. Chandler Hopkins, Cameron Cole, and Izzy James faced Brock Anderson and Gun Club. Dark Order's 5 Angels and 10 took on Lucha Brothers. Thunder Rosa, newly signed to AEW. Thunder Rosa went one-on-one with Maka Madrid. Angelico took on Marco Stunt. Amber Nova faced Yuka Sakazaki. Jungle Boy went toe-to-toe with Mark Quinn. Wardlow faced the Bear and Bear Bronson. Luchasaurus faced Jora Joel. And Eddie Kingston took on Serpentico. So that was your card for AEW Dark Elevation for Monday night. So some interesting matches in there. Definitely for me, I'm looking at that I do want to check out. Of course, anytime you got Thunder Rosa doing her thing, I definitely want to represent and check it out. So I'll definitely peep that out going into Wednesday's show, and I'll definitely sound off about some of the stuff I have saw on there. By the way, if you guys did not catch the show from last week, for those of you that may be looking for the talk about my thoughts specifically on Daniel Bryan, CM Punk possibly going to AEW, now it appears Daniel Bryan is a lock. You can definitely check out last week's show. I know I made the audio version of it available on demand and downloads a little bit later than anticipated. Apologies for that. Work kind of got the best of me, but it is available, the audio version. Of course, the webcast version of the show, it's all over the place, the YouTube, the Twitch, all of those respective platforms. So check it out when you guys get a chance. So AEW Dark, we got that out the way. So WWE RAW, I gotta say, overall, I like the fact that we upped the quantity more of the matches that we got on this card for tonight. They did a really good job compared to last week. I know a lot of people were a bit sour of Raw from last week because there was very little to no wrestling at all. And when you just added up the lengths of the matches from last week, you're going, wait a minute, 3-hour broadcasts, and man, we didn't even get nowhere near sniffing an hour worth of wrestling matches. What the hell's going on here? You got to actually go back and peep that out. But this week, they really redeemed themselves. I mean, grand total, we had 10 matches for Raw tonight. 10 matches for Raw. And I mean, just listen to the lengths of these matches here. By my estimate, I could be off a minute, 2, maybe even 3 minutes, but this is what I was averaging essentially. And I kept in mind, okay, let's take away the entrance themes, let's take away the promos, and just get down to the nitty gritty about the actual in-ring action. This is what I had averaged here. One match, 12 minutes, 11 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, questionable 3 minutes. I think it might be a little bit less than that, but 3 minutes. You got another 10 minutes, 3 minutes, about 10 minutes. So, I mean, you hear that? Like, it just keeps. So, I mean, that's pretty good. We really didn't go that heavy at all, really, on the promos tonight. We pretty much had got our promos setting up Raw. And then, of course, the next promo to actually come out of the whole 3 hour span actually had came when Bobby Lashley briefly came out, cut his promo, which was barely 5 minutes. We'll talk about that a lot more later on. And then, of course, post match in the main event match that went down between Charlotte Flair and Nikki Ash, there was barely about 2 minutes of in-ring talk time. So, I mean, there was a really good balance, I would have to say, tonight as far as the in-ring action and the promo talks as well. I don't know if you guys were really peeping that out. And then when you really get down to the heart of it, I know some of you guys, you always like to kind of remind me from time to time, as I'm very quick to point out to you guys, quality over quantity. So some of you guys may say, okay, well, what about the quality of these matches you're talking about, Lee? You said there's 10 matches. All right, that's good on the quantity, but how was the quality of these matches? With the exception of, I would say honestly, with the exception of maybe 2 matches, I actually was okay with everything that had came out tonight. I probably would have done without 2 matches. 2 matches. And I think everybody kind of that watch Raw tonight definitely knows 2 matches that I'm talking about in mind. So, we're not really going in a specific order, just pretty much whatever comes to mind. However, I do have the matches that had played out just in case I need some help rejogging my memory and everything. But going back to what I had said earlier, how Raw pretty much opened up with Nikki Cross and it's essentially closing with Nikki Cross as well. I like that we took this nice turn and we, WWE, they showed a lot of love there for Nikki Ash as all priorities. Okay, let's do what we can to really help push this new Raw Women's Champion. Let's really help try to, build up the fan base more around her and everything. I like the tone that they had took going into this and everything. And the Nikki Ash cutting her promo, I like the promo. Look, when it's all said and done and you think about how this character had came about, what inspired Nikki Cross to come up with this gimmick and everything, it's definitely something you can really get behind and everything. But I love the promo. I mean, if there's anything that you really wanted to learn about this Nikki Ash, almost a superhero character, everything you needed to know about this character and what they're all about, although kind of questionable, and I'll actually get back to that in a hot second. Everything that you need to know about this character was all in this promo tonight. If this promo didn't resonate with you, then in helping you understand more about the character, then I don't know what will. But in a nutshell, she's pretty much talking about how she lacked the confidence in herself prior, and she had to somehow find it within herself, that confidence. And by putting on the cape, the costume, the mask, she essentially was able to tap into that confidence that she felt had been dormant, had been locked away for so long and was very difficult for her to unlock. She can essentially be herself when she has all of this going on with the costume. And the main points for me was the fact that she said to the crowd, no matter what, if you believe in yourself, then you can overcome all the odds. And she follows up saying, it worked for me, it can work for you. Yeah, you hear that, you go, wow, that's so awesome. That's like a Tony Robbins motivational type of, God damn, I'm motivated. Let's do it, yo. Let's do it. Let's go. But I can't help but, okay, so, and look, I'll give Nikki Ash a lot of credit. She says she's almost a superhero. I know some people were pointing at the fact that, well, wait a minute here. For somebody that's supposed to be a superhero, she fucking cashed in the Money in the Bank briefcase. She didn't do it in a honorable type of fashion. The way she did it was kind of heel-like. If she was a real babyface, if she was a real superhero, she would have went on out there, challenge the current champion head on, give them time to prepare, and then the upset pretty much happens that way. And to that I say, hey, you got to pull one of those Charles Barkley quotes. Charles Barkley is very quick to remind people, Ernie, I never said that I was a role model. I never said that, Ernie. You know, you just got to go with, well, wait a minute now. Nikki Ash, she said that she was almost a superhero. We got to make sure we home in on that. So there's still a little, I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know if you want to just go, I don't know if you want to go that route, or, you know, whatever. But hey, obviously, if Nikki Ash sees and I did say Ash, I didn't say ass. If Nikki Ash sees a way to, you know, cut corners there, she's gonna freaking take advantage of it, right? Right? We don't need to think that deep and philosophical about the fact that, wait a minute, though, she's supposed to be inspiring. She's supposed to be, and what she essentially did was cheating. Like, let's not, cause we'll just blow that whole thing up. We'll fuck it all up, and then let's not. Happy thoughts, people. Happy thoughts. So, yeah, Charlotte Flair coming out there, pretty salty from what went down last week, and telling Nikki Ash, hey, I got your number. You pretty much took advantage of me after what Rhea Ripley had did and everything. You know, I see you. Look, I respect it, but come on, you're not fooling me. You're not fooling these people. You know, you and I both know I should still be the women's champion right now, and I'm going to rectify the situation when we go to SummerSlam, taking that title away from you. Rhea Ripley comes out wanting to plead her case for why she feels she should actually be the one to challenge for the Raw Women's Championship. By the way, great reaction for Rhea Ripley in front of a live crowd. I got to say that, and I got to keep in mind, I keep reminding myself that for Rhea Ripley, she is still a newcomer as far as being on the main roster and experiencing the crowd reactions. Because remember, when she debuted initially on Raw, you know, as a permanent fixture, there were no fans in attendance. Remember that. So the fact that, you know, it was awesome seeing the crowd react to her tonight. I loved it. They gave her a great ovation. I love how they were really trying to rattle up Charlotte Flair. And man, you can just tell that Charlotte Flair loves what she's doing, because when she was cutting her promo and the fans were chanting at her that she sucked, you know, you could just see the gears. You always know when Charlotte is trying to just think of a quick little comeback, because she, you know, once in a blue moon. I remember in previous years she was very, very bad about this, but in previous years when the crowds would get the best of her, she would be silent, and it wouldn't be one of those 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippis. Boom, I got a zinger. I'm going to shut y'all up this way. Blah. It wasn't like that at all. In the previous years, it would be 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7. I mean, this girl was letting seconds go by. She was hitting them double digits. I mean, she wasn't getting anywhere near 30 seconds or anything like that. But I mean, homegirl was just, you could tell she was a deer in the freaking headlights. And you know, when I really stop and think about it, I've yet to see that question really be asked of her in interviews. If I ever had an opportunity to interview her, I think that definitely would be one of the things I would bring up, and at the same time ask her, how did you overcome, you know, whatever nerves you had going on, you know, early in your career there, when you had to cut promos and everything and the crowd was pretty much getting the best of you. How did you overcome that? But this was one of those rare occasions where, since she has been on her A+ game with the promos and not letting the crowds hijack her talk segments, this was one of those rare moments where she knows she's got the fans in the palm of her hand, and they are so worked up. And, you know, I think it was probably a little bit of the jitterbugs, just the fact that the fans, they're now performing in front of fans again. that you legit see this smile on her face. You could tell she is just happy to not only be back in front of the fans performing, doing what she does best, but you can just tell that she really loves what she's doing as a heel. And the fact that I see from time to time and hear from time to time so many fans that it's one thing to be very anti Charlotte Flair, but man, to go out of your way and make fun of how she looks and go with the whole, big boob and hoping that one of her boobs ruptures so you don't have to see her on your TV ever again, hoping that she gets pregnant so she can be gone for 9-10 months or whatever. Seeing shit like that, I mean, as wow as it is to see that, it also puts such a big ass smile on my face because it lets me know that she's doing her job just right and she is getting under your skin. And that is the whole freaking point. That is the whole freaking point. So all of that fiasco going on with all three of those girls, Adam Pearce, Sonya Deville coming out, pretty much making it official that there will be a triple threat match for that Raw Women's Championship. Again, at SummerSlam, Kross will defend, Nikki Ash will defend against those girls. However, Charlotte Flair putting an interesting challenge out there. Hey, doesn't matter if it's at SummerSlam, can be on Raw, can be anywhere, any place, anytime, doesn't matter. She's got Nikki's number. Now see, why I say that, but I got that damn Steely Dan song in my head. Yeah, the Steely Dan song goes, Ricky, don't lose that number. It's the one who wanna... You might use it when you feel better. When you get home. Well, see, we should change that and switch it up and put Nikki in there. So I've been in a Steely Dan mood all day. I've been playing random Steely Dan songs at random, so don't pay me any mind. I'm playing a little bit of that and some Neil Young and Crazy Horse. Even did a little bit of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young from earlier today. I was just in one of those moods, so don't pay me any mind. But good setup right there. So Nikki Cross hearing that challenge from Charlotte. Okay, well, what's up? Anytime, any place. Like, I'm ready to go right now. You want to go later tonight? It's all good. So Charlotte putting that nice little stipulation, that challenge out there. So that was pretty much our main event for the night. Non-title matchup, by the way. Non-title matchup. Good main event match between both girls, by the way. I was not surprised by the outcome as far as Charlotte Flair picking up the dub. Although, I must admit, there was part of me that was wondering whether or not we would see Rhea Ripley, maybe doing something at commentating. And she's doing a little something, and then somehow she gets incorporated into all of that. But to my knowledge, there was no Rhea Ripley appearance in that main event match. She wasn't even there as a spectator. This was just solely about Charlotte and Nikki Cross. And I love the story that was essentially told. I thought that was the right way to go, honestly, in having Charlotte Flair beat Nikki Ash, because now you're adding more fuel to the fire of, well, wait a minute here. Yeah, Nikki Ash essentially became the Raw Women's Champion because she took advantage of a weakened Flair. And so, and now we've seen Charlotte Flair just straight up, no controversy, did not cheat, pick up a dub on Nikki Ash. Yeah, does she in fact have Ash's number? Interesting. So post-match, Charlotte Flair picking up a microphone, crowd just eating it up. Again, playing right into her hands. As far as working the crowds tonight, I got to go with the MVP and Charlotte Flair. She did phenomenal tonight. And she said to him, what did you expect? What did you think was going to happen? I told each and every single one of you, Nikki Ash, I told you. And now you see what played out before your eyes. Yeah, honey, SummerSlam, I got your ass in check. I got you in check. You can have all the little matches you want. You can put all the little challenges out there. I'm going to beat you every single time. And I don't know if you guys were really homing in on this, or, I don't know if it was just me, but to see Nikki Cross in the corner there and she's just fuming, look like she's turning beet red. I was just ready for her to just have this flip out freaking moment. I thought she was just going to go berserk, and I thought she was going to be one of those insane superheroes, you've seen them if you've read a few comics or two, you've got that one superhero. Wait, you must let me save you. Otherwise, I am not doing my job. I must save you. And, they're going crazy about it. And I thought Nikki Ash was just going to go fucking berserk and just pounce on Charlotte and just. But we didn't get that. I so thought we were going to get a little touch of that. Can I say old school Nikki? Should I even say old school Nikki? I thought we were going to get the rabid Wolverine Nikki Cross there on Charlotte Flair, but it didn't happen. Instead, she reframed herself, grabbed the mic and said, hey, you know what? I almost beat you, but didn't get the job done here. Clearly tonight, that's all right. But I know that deep down in myself, I know that I can beat you. And to prove my point, I challenge you to a match next week. Charlotte accepts, pretty much tells her, hey, outcome is going to be the same regardless, but hey, you want to do this again? Okay, it's cool. Charlotte comes in with a cheap attack on Nikki Ash. If I remember it right, I believe Charlotte pretty much just got the best of Nikki Ash when she was beating her up there, and Raw pretty much going off there. Now I'm trying to think if Rhea Ripley might have came out. Excuse me, guys. I'm trying to think if Rhea Ripley might have came out post match. I don't remember her coming out. All I remember was just Charlotte Flair jumping on Nikki. Ringing her bell, dragging her around the ring, mocking her costume, just mocking her all together. Hit her with a running boot, pretty much the show ended, just like that. But I totally was down with how everything had played out, from the beginning, pretty much going all the way to the end there. Decent match, pretty decent. Also, by the way, I couldn't help but look at when Rhea Ripley and Charlotte and Nikki were in the ring, just the size differential. My God, just the size differential that you got going on there, man. Just freaking ridiculous. Just ridiculous. But, if there was ever a heel that you want to boo and ever a baby face that you really want to get behind, it's pretty interesting here when you think about the different demographics and the styles that's pretty much clashing in this soon-to-be triple threat match at SummerSlam. Think about it for a second, without being long-winded, but really stop and think about it for a second. The way that Nikki Cross / Nikki Ash has been designed, she has specifically been designed for young kids, young teens. That is who specifically she is being targeted towards. Okay? Now you might have some adults that like it kinky in the bedroom, and they're probably looking at her costume and they're probably giving a little bit of a nudge to their spouse and saying, baby, I need you to wear that same outfit for me. See if we can go on the WWE shop site and I say you and me get down with that costume and have a couple of hennies and smoke a little tree. What do you say, baby? You know what I'm saying? It's probably one of those type of deals, but it's very heavy on the young kids, right? Nikki Ash is all about the young kids. Whereas Rhea Ripley, you could make an argument that Rhea Ripley is maybe for the older teens, maybe those that are getting ready to go into their junior, senior year in high school, first year, second year in college or whatever, or definitely the teens that are in that hot topic, punk rock, acid rock. Oh my God, I just discovered Green Day, phase. Okay. And then you've got Charlotte Flair, who is essentially the purest out of all three of them. The purest as far as in-ring performers go, as far as in-ring athletes go. The throwback, the legacy, the generation. Okay, so your hardcore wrestling fan that knows about wrestling history and all of that, they're probably, most likely, there's probably a good bandwagon of them that is all about the Flair. So I like how you've got all of these that's just intertwining with each other there. I gotta say, it's pretty badass. Now, I ain't blind. I ain't no fool. Based off what I saw tonight, as far as the reactions go, after congratulating Nikki Ash, hey, you deserve it, all that good stuff. You want to talk about the order in which, okay, who's the crowd really gravitating towards right now? As far as a face goes, Rhea Ripley, at least the way it's been seeming these past couple of weeks, but definitely for sure what we got tonight, seems like Rhea Ripley's number one. Who you just can't stand, Charlotte Flair, but you still got to count the reaction. Flair's at number 2. You can make an argument that Nikki is at number 3. So kind of interesting, but I hope you guys are looking at it just like that as far as the demographics go. I think I don't have a problem with it. Personally, I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. Moving on though. Some other action that went down tonight. Bobby Lashley. Bobby. God damn it, Bobby. Hey, how you doing there? My name is Hank Hill. You boys look awfully familiar. I say there, weren't you boys mowing my lawn last week? Weren't you boys supposed to mow my lawn last week? You took my money and ran off. Oh. Anyway, Bobby Lashley responding to Goldberg's challenge. Will he or won't he face Goldberg at SummerSlam? Pretty much it was a no. This and I just kind of loved how Bobby Lashley essentially, Goldberg, he ain't even on my league, dog. Like, I don't even know why I'm even responding to you, yo, because you're not even on my level. Seriously, you're a joke. But before we could even hear Bobby Lashley and MVP, entertain the idea even more, they pretty much shot it down. But it kind of seemed as though maybe they were going to go in a different direction here. We got ourselves a Hurt Business reunion. Not quite the reunion we would have liked, but a reunion nonetheless. Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander coming out, making their claims why they feel they should be the ones to challenge Lashley. Lashley not really trying to hear any of this. MVP definitely not trying to have any of this going on. As far as MVP is concerned, Lashley and himself, they got bigger things, more important things to be concerned about than them and their little fuss. But Lashley decides, you know what? I'll face you. Give me both of y'all. I'll take both of y'all on at the same time. Give me a ref, ring the bell. So this was a handicap match. Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin actually teaming up to take on Bobby Lashley. Kind of a formidable match, but I mean, look, when it's all said and done, essentially almost a 5-minute promo from Lashley, barely 3 minutes of action, of in-ring action that we got in there. I like what was going on there. I like the fact that we had Cedric, Shelton, essentially trying to put their differences to the side, all in the name of sticking it to their former Hurt Business brother and, in Lashley, and stick it to MVP at the same time. But, no cigar, a couple of nice little bright spots that was there, but no cigar. This pretty much was all about Lashley getting the dub. Okay, great. Yeah, Lashley, great. You took on 2 guys. That's great. You took 2 guys on at the same time. Great. Cool. Hey, he looked like a beast, though. I'm saying, I'm not shitting on it. I'm saying he did look like a beast the way he had handled that and all that. But, when you're looking at the grander scheme of things, you're going, okay, yeah, that's nice and everything, but, come on here. Like, okay, if these guys are nothing but small fry, then Goldberg for you should be just totally on freaking point. You should definitely be able to, this should be more the reason why you would want to accept the challenge from Goldberg to essentially put the old man in his place or whatever, right? I mean, you would think that, but nah, but this was pretty much a squash match. That's really what this was about. It was all said and done. So remember what I had said from last week? Remember that when I told you guys, go back and listen to the last week's show when I was talking about Lashley, Goldberg, the fact that by all accounts, it is going to happen. Just go back, listen to what all I had said. I truly believe that if you are a Bobby Lashley fan, you'll agree with all of the points that I had made. And really just be, as a fan for Lashley, just rooting him on and just being excited for him right now when it's all said and done. See, other action that came about tonight. Sheamus taking on Damian Priest, non-title matchup. That pretty much had got the ball rolling with all of the in-ring action that was coming about for tonight's Raw. Pretty solid. Actually, pretty solid between those two. Again, this was a non-title matchup. By the way, it seems since last we saw of Damian Priest, I don't know if it was on last week's Raw or the Raw before, I see he's missing a tooth. So I gotta now go back and try to see when and where he lost that tooth there. But I don't know if he's maybe going to eventually get that tooth replaced or what. But yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. Like I've never paid attention to his mouth before, but it's you don't even have to be looking at his mouth that hard. It's just obvious he's missing a tooth. Luckily it's not the front two, upper, it's the upper, but to the side more, pretty much after you get past the first so after you get past the first two teeth and then the two on the outers, I think it was like third one on is where he had a tooth that was missing and everything. So Damian Priest defeating Sheamus in this non-title matchup. Just from what I had saw tonight, and I had said to you guys a couple of weeks ago that the way it was looking, Damian Priest, Sheamus, I said to you guys, I'm all on board for this. This should be, a pretty intense physical matchup and a really true test for Damian Priest is what I also added on top of everything that I had said. And this opening act that we got between Sheamus and Damian Priest, pretty good. Now, even though the U.S. title was not on the line, this was a contenders match, meaning if Damian Priest won, which he did, at a later date, he would definitely get a shot at Sheamus for the U.S. title. So this, as far as I was concerned, nothing to really, oh my God, with this matchup, but it was enough to whet your appetite. Just picture you're at your favorite restaurant, be it Fridays, Ruby Tuesdays, and you're starting off with a good old appetizer before you get the main entree. You're eating the appetizer. If you're kind of like me, you go, okay, if I really want to know what's going on with this place, if this place is going to be popping or not, I'm going to try off a little bit of an appetizer. If that appetizer is good, then I know that I'm going to be enjoying the main entrees that's going to be coming. Otherwise, if the appetizers ain't really banging, I'm probably only going to be taking a couple of fork bites of that main entree. And the waiter comes, oh, how is everything? Oh, very good. And the waiter goes by, this shit is nasty, right? You're ready to go get them doggy boxes and, and then go to 7-Eleven to make up for what you just ate instead. I looked at what we got tonight with Damian Priest and Sheamus as an appetizer, a good appetizer. The main entree of what these guys are going to be able to do on a much grander scale, say SummerSlam, it's going to be magnificent. So looking forward seeing these two guys on the grandest stage of them all there. So good stuff right there. Good stuff. Also, AJ Styles, Omos, taking on the Viking Raiders. If I remember this correctly, this was for the Raw tag team titles. AJ Styles, Omos retaining the tag titles. Good match. I don't exactly agree with at one point there was a commercial buffer. Would have been nice to continue to get this match at least picture in picture, just so you have the option, but to just pretty much cut away, do your full-blown commercials, and then come back, and the match was essentially only on for maybe about 5 minutes, if you're lucky, 7 minutes tops. It's kind of, I wish when it comes to these championship matches for Raw, they try to do their best to do limited commercials to no commercials at all. I think that's only fair. I personally feel, because when you take an abrupt commercial break during a championship match, and you come back, it'd be one thing if you come back, okay, 3 minutes of commercials that you sat through and watched, but those 3 minutes have been added on to the match. You feel where I'm coming from? But yeah, that for me just kind of messed up the flow there. Omos continuing to look good. I continue to be impressed by him on a weekly basis. Still looking pretty green. He's doing better with the footwork. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to his footwork. I have been mentioning his footwork off and on since he's been by AJ Styles, and we've been seeing him in the ring. I've told you guys he's had cinder blocks for feet, like cinder blocks for shoes, basically. He's getting a little better. I'll definitely give him that. He's continuing to improve. AJ, I can't complain about AJ. Just, the pairing of AJ and Omos, I'm really digging it. I'm picking up shades of so many, like, just, God, with Omos, I can see a little bit of Andre the Giant. I can see a little bit of, hell, even Braun Strowman. I could see a little bit of Big Show, a little bit of Mark Henry. Nice elements that's going on there. And I don't care what anybody says. I fucked with him. I thought he was badass. But Giant Gonzalez, I can see a little bit of Giant Gonzalez in there as well. A little bit of Kevin Nash as well. Definitely a little bit of Kevin Nash as well. So I see so many cool, elements when I look at Omos. And of course, when I look at Omos and AJ, I'm definitely reminded of, he's not quite there yet. I think he could eventually get there. Omos, that is, flushing out a little bit more personality. But for right now, he definitely, just this pairing, it's got a HBK, Shawn Michaels, Sid Vicious vibe. Yeah, I'm not quite there on the big sexy Kevin Nash just yet. I'm not there just yet. He's got to do a lot more to kind of have me come around and put him in the big sexy talk. But yeah, he's definitely got those elements going on about him. But yeah, good pairing. I'm continuing to like these guys. Drew McIntyre was in action. This was probably, if we were lucky, it was probably about 4 minutes. I don't even think it was that long of a match personally. But Drew took on Veer. And right before this fight, match, whatever you want to call it, came about, Jinder Mahal came out with a lawyer basically saying, hey, Drew, what you did last week, what wasn't cool, and we're going to hit you with a lawsuit. You just can't go running around doing what you had did. You apologize right now, or we're going to sue you. We're going to take you for everything that you own. Drew McIntyre wasn't having any of that, pretty much shot that down, and yet somehow the match with Veer went on. McIntyre defeating Veer, adding more insult to injury, kicked the shit out of the lawyer guy. So probably by now you guys figured it out. no shit, you figured it out that the lawyer, is some type of a wrestler. I actually got his info for you guys. But the attorney was revealed to be, give me a second here. The lawyer was Arun Singh. And if his face does look familiar to you guys, that's because he is on the indies. He's known as Geek Singh. That's one of the names that he's known by. He recently made his AEW debut going back June. He actually was on a dark episode and he lost to Angelico. So if his face looked familiar to you, you know your AEW, you check out enough of the dark elevations and all those other shows. That's probably why his face does. That's where you know the face from. So, hey, pretty good for the young man, getting that nice little spot right there. Pretty sure we haven't seen the last of him. If you ask me straight up, how am I doing with this feud / program so far between Drew and Jinder Mahal? I am totally indifferent. I am just totally indifferent right now. Look, what happened between... Oh, and Veer did win, now that I'm thinking about it. Veer won by disqualification because Drew McIntyre... Oh, God, something happened with a steel chair. I remember Veer had got a chair from Jinder, but then turned around and hit a freaking Claymore. Yeah, it was a Claymore kick from Drew, and pretty much the chair kind of like ricocheted, and pretty much the ref had to do stoppage that way. But yeah, Drew didn't care. He was whooping that ass. Veer, even though it was kind of almost a squash match, Veer did look a little bit impressive from the little bit that I saw here, but I tell you what, I'm just very indifferent right now when it comes to McIntyre, Jinder. I don't know. That's just me. That is just me. Maybe I'll feel a little bit different when I actually see these two guys collide at SummerSlam, assuming that's where it's all going to collide. But right now, I'm just feeling a little bit indifferent. It's interesting because I found myself to be more interested in the feud with Sheamus. And, not for nothing, but the feud that I had thought that was badass, that really should have cemented his spot in the WWE. He should have been given a contract renewal, especially when he was working out, got the shoulders nice and wide, picked up more bulk. I mean, he looked like a bona fide star. Heath Slater. That was a feud that we've got something here. We can really, really freaking get behind this. Like, I thought that right there was... So to essentially go from one 3-man band member to another in Jinder is just not there. It, for me, feels very forced. I don't feel magic. I don't know if you guys are feeling the same way, but at least I could make the argument that when it came to Heath and Drew, spontaneous here. We just stumbled upon some magic. There was something that was there. I'm not there with Jinder and Drew yet. I mean, we got a couple of weeks to go until SummerSlam. Maybe I can get there. I don't know. But if I haven't gotten there by now, probably not going to even get there. I'm sure I'll have a good match, but just the storytelling so far, nah. Tag team matchup, Natty, Tamina taking on Eva Marie Doudrop. Natty and Tamina picking up the dub, but not before there was a video of Alexa's doll Lily that pretty much was mocking Evolution with Lily Lucian, that pretty much had Eva Marie, looking at this, what the hell? So distracted that Tamina's able to do a super kick on her ass, plants her for the pin. And that pretty much was it. I think the real story that is going into this matchup, though, what was going on with Natty. Because, you see Natty being helped by a medic. And this was interesting because you kind of felt as though, wait a minute, something actually may have happened here, because as Tamina was celebrating the victory, she's looking around. You can go back, if you didn't watch Raw yet, you can go back and peep this out. She's looking around for Natty. She's like, it's almost like she has this look on her face, and she's kind of going, yo, where's Natty? And once she's able to figure out where Natty is, she's kind of like, okay, so she hurries up, goes under Natty's arm, trying to give her that extra support, because Natty is literally hopping on one leg as the medic has Natty, around the other and everything. And, you're just looking at that. And Tamina had a legit concerned look on her face. So it was kind of one of those deals where you're going, oh man, what the hell's going on here? Now, as far as a new update, as far as Natty goes, I'm actually on her Twitter timeline right now, and there is nothing right now that I see from her timeline. I'm even looking at Tamina's timeline as we speak, trying to see if maybe she's saying a little something. And right now, Tamina isn't even saying anything as well. So pretty quiet right now. Hopefully it's nothing too severe, knocking on wood there. But you know what? I tell you what, you want to create something kind of interesting here going forward. If you wanted to maybe do a scenario where ultimately Doudrop, Eva Marie gets those titles off of Natty and Tamina, I'm just saying, it's interesting. It's interesting. Hopefully we'll learn a lot more about what was going on there. Hopefully we all that saw this in real time, we aren't reading too much into it, and maybe this is just part of a story angle or whatever. Hopefully it's nothing really, you understand what I'm saying? Hopefully it's not a legit injury, but I don't know, man. I've seen Tamina in her time in selling some stuff, facial expression wise and everything, and legit she looked concerned for Natty. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But Lily is back. We thought that Lily was maybe gonna be gone off our TVs for a long period of time, if not ever. But as we all saw tonight, Lily is back. Lily wants revenge. So I guess Alexa Bliss, Lily, I guess they're the good guys, right? I guess they're the good guys, and we're supposed to be booing Eva Marie. And we are supposed to kind of feel sorry for Doudrop, because Doudrop has to do Eva Marie's bidding, right? So we kind of, it's one of those, Doudrop is guilt by association when it comes to Eva Marie, right? So I still like the idea of Alexa Bliss essentially recruiting Doudrop. I like the idea of, hey, why are you messing around with her? In the way she abuses you, neglects you, holding you back. She's prohibiting you from tapping into your true unlimited power, your true potential that's there. You come with me, the shackles are off, you'll be respected, you'll be feared, you'll be admired. I just kind of feel eventually that's where we're going with that. We'll have to wait and see, but that's how I'm kind of feeling. Ultimately, that's where we're gonna go. But kind of what I saw play out tonight kind of felt more like an angle that was being set up here. But the injury to Natty did look legit. It did look legit. Karrion Kross taking on Keith Lee. Good match. I had missed some of the commentating, and so the little bit that I heard, I was under the impression that the commentators did not give past acknowledgement to the great feud that Karrion Kross and Keith Lee had down in NXT, which pretty much culminated in Karrion Kross taking the NXT title off of Keith Lee, and pretty much, Keith Lee just running his ass, running his ass to Raw, to the Raw brand. But DT, Don Tony, shout out to him. He said, no, no, no. They did acknowledge their past history from NXT. So I thought that was fantastic, because for me, seeing Karrion Kross out there with the NXT Championship, and then just kind of what I was hearing, I was a little bit distracted, but just kind of what I was seeing, it was like, wait, what's going on here? But another thing that was kind of interesting here that I felt was, okay, so on the plus side, Karrion Kross is redeemed from what happened last week. Okay, that's +1. But then +2, okay, well, we got to pull an audible here. We got to do something that, yeah, because remember, he was intertwined here with Jeff Hardy. So, and by the way, for those of you that were thinking, oh, surely Jeff Hardy's maybe going to rub it in Kross's face, he beat him. No Jeff Hardy tonight. From over the weekend, and I feel for those that have bought the tickets to do the meet and greet and see the show that Jeff Hardy was going to be doing in Kansas. But there were tickets that were made available for a Kansas show. Pretty damn good prices too. Very, very affordable prices. I mean, we're talking a real steal. A real steal. There were a couple of people that I had chatted with that said they've seen Jeff Hardy, with his band and all that. They've seen him a couple of times. Always, great entertainment and all that. But, yeah, so this was in Kansas, and the event was canceled. And the reason why it was canceled, per the people that organized the event, had everything set up, what they basically were told is that Jeff Hardy tested positive for COVID. And as a result of that, there was just no way he was going to be able to do those shows, because he had to self-quarantine for a few weeks. So neither Jeff Hardy, or at least over the weekend, I don't know if maybe something has come about now. I don't recall seeing anything from WWE as far as maybe potentially seeing something from Jeff Hardy. Not that I'm aware of. I haven't seen anything from Jeff Hardy just yet. But no comment from WWE or Jeff Hardy, about the cancellation, if in fact, yeah, it was because of COVID. And I saw a lot of people that, were looking at that. And man, just some of the venom that was coming out from some people when it was revealed Jeff Hardy had COVID. There were actually people before Monday Night Raw. I bullshit you not. You can go on Twitter. You can find this yourself. There were legit people that were blaming Karrion Kross for giving Jeff Hardy COVID. Legit. And you hear that and you're going, whoa, 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 whoa. How are we going to just jump into conclusions like this? We got to give WWE the benefit of doubt that they are testing their performers, making sure that everybody is all right. They're taking the best precautions that's humanly possible. They're limiting, particularly, what they're doing when they're on their own time and they're out there amongst the public. Obviously WWE can't force mandates. They can only strongly suggest and advise them, hey, you want to protect yourself, this is how you need to do it, blah, 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 right? They're giving them the information, but it's just amazing that so many people were throwing Karrion Kross under the bus, blaming him for giving Jeff Hardy COVID. And as you guys saw tonight, Karrion Kross wrestled Keith Lee. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I would like to believe that if Karrion Kross had tested positive at all, and I'm sure that days before, I'm sure that whenever Jeff Hardy was tested positive, I would like to believe that WWE immediately, okay, let's get the last test that Karrion had did. It said negative, right? Okay, we need to test him ASAP. I'm sure Karrion kept getting tested all the way up through today. And I bet you it was all of those, without a shadow of doubt, negatives each time. And that's why we had got him tonight. Yeah, it's just a reminder, I think, of our society that pump the brakes, slow down. Don't be so quick to assume. Don't be so quick to jump the gun and think you know what had went down. Don't do that. Don't do that, especially with the malice and just the nasty messages that was coming towards Karrion Kross's way. I just looked at that and I said, man, some of you guys, and I know you guys are cool, but like some people that have the audacity to call themselves wrestling fans are not wrestling fans, especially the way that they were coming off to Kross. I thought it was unwarranted, totally unnecessary. And all I could think about when all of this was going on with this whole, hey, Jeff Hardy testing positive, all I could think about was, Matt Hardy, Rebby, the kids, both, Jeff and Matt's kids, but especially the newest bundle of joy for the Hardy compound, little baby girl Hardy. I couldn't help but think, oh man, hopefully he wasn't near them and all of them are okay. And yeah, he's gonna be all right. He's got his couple of $1 million. He's got his nice little mansion. We know the Hardys be living a good life. They all right. It isn't all boo hoo 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 hoo. You feel me? So, but yeah, seeing that over the weekend, that just had me scratching my head. But I'm thinking about that as I'm watching not Jeff, but I'm thinking about that as I'm looking at Karrion Kross, Keith Lee. But I'm also thinking about, okay, here, we need to pull an audible. What about Samoa Joe? We saw that great cliffhanger of NXT last week. Surely Samoa Joe, who is essentially a WWE official, surely he is trying to, get his hands on Karrion Kross. Surely he made a couple of calls, try to figure out what was Karrion's travel itinerary. Okay, oh yeah, so he's actually showing up for, okay, all right, great, all right, thanks for that. I was ready to see Samoa Joe just pop up and beat the living shit out of Karrion Kross tonight, like post-match. I was ready to see it, and we didn't get it. So that for me was pretty flat. It was pretty flat. I know a lot of people are definitely going to be looking at Keith Lee losing. I think it's all a setup to a bigger story. I'm not quite sure what that bigger story is. I like the idea that's running around of, maybe ultimately MVP somehow manages to recruit Keith Lee. I like that idea. I'll tell you another idea that I like. I like the idea of Keith Lee somehow intertwining there with Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. I like that idea. I don't know if you make Keith Lee an honorary member of New Day for a little bit, have him try to go over. I don't know if maybe you go that route, but then ultimately Keith Lee flips the script, becomes a fucking heel, turns on, I don't know, maybe you kind of go in that direction, because a guy like Keith Lee, he really doesn't need a faction. You feel where I'm coming from? He really doesn't need it, but at this point, you're trying to figure out ways to plug him in, play him, and have the fans get invested in him and everything. So you kind of have to entertain some of those factions that's running around. You kind of have to. So, but if it were up to me, I would maybe plug and play him with Kofi, Xavier, only to have him turn on those guys and just a mega beast of a heel is pretty much unleashed. That's ultimately what I would do. That's if you even want to stay the heel route with Keith Lee. Just an idea. I'm sure some of you guys can come up with better ideas, but just offhand, you give me like a day to really think about it, I could come up with some more interesting, cool shit that should be done with Keith Lee. But then again, you know what? Hey, not for nothing, but I believe September, October is when the WWE draft is. The answer may actually just be let Keith Lee just continue to linger there just long enough due to SmackDown Raw draft, Keith goes to SmackDown, where I think he would definitely shine a lot more than what's going on, because there's way too much real estate going on. Not a lot of people were keeping tabs and have been keeping tabs on his losses so far, because when you really stop and think about it, the last time we saw him on WWE Raw programming was back in February. He lost to what was it there? He was taking on Matt Riddle. He lost to Riddle. Lashley attacked him post-match. Then he came back last week. He had that match with Lashley, lost that. Now he's in this match against Karrion Kross. Good match, by the way. Good match, but he loses to Kross. So if you're keeping track, his last couple of Raw appearances consecutively, he's 0-3. But this go round, since he's been back, he's 0-2. So you can't help but wonder, where are we going with this? What's the end game here with Keith Lee? Where are we hoping to land with him? So kind of have that going in the back of your head there. But I promise you give me a day, and I think I'll actually accept that challenge myself. You give me a day, and I'll give you guys a day. Let's come back on Wednesday's RCWR show, and let's talk about, okay, we've had a day or two to think about it. What do we do with Keith Lee, for the duration that he's on Raw? Do we want to just keep him where he's at? Do we want to try to build him up a little bit, even as we get ready to go into the draft? Just think about that. You don't have to answer that tonight, although some of you guys may have thought about it for a while. So if you got some thoughts, you can definitely put it out there. Tell you something else that's kind of interesting too. Keith Lee put out some type of a cryptic message. He's talking about how he needs to get some stuff off his chest. He's looking to, be very transparent. And, some fans are telling him, hey, man, you don't owe us anything. Just do you. It's none of our business. Yeah, matter of fact, the tweet he put out there, he said, I've decided I'm just going to tell you guys the story myself. Give me a week or two. And right before that, he talked about how, I wanted to do it in a special manner, but instead I'll just have to chat directly. So, very cryptic, but I can't help but look at that and say, man, why does this feel like this is just a continuing flushing out process of his character on TV? Why do I feel he's getting ready to set something up on TV? I don't know, just kind of have all of that in the back of your heads. But we'll come back Wednesday and we'll see, we'll combine all of our ideas and then see what we all got. Let's see. Tag team match, Mace T-Bar taking on Mustafa Ali Mansoor. Team of Ali Mansoor picking up the dub. Crowd very indifferent to all of these guys. They could care less. A little bit of a spotty match. Kind of interesting too how the pairing of Mansoor and Ali just, did I miss something? Did some shit play out on 205 Live that I missed? Because I swear to God, I watch Raw every single week. I'm talking about the shit here with you guys every single week. If some shit went down with these guys on 205 Live and now they're a damn pair, I needs to know. I need to hook up, because this just completely went over my damn head. I'm sure it went over a lot of people's heads as well. Other than that, Riddle taking on John Morrison, that actually was a pretty good match. America's Moist Wanted. Is that their name? Moist Wanted? Lord have mercy. They made some type of a arrangement with or actually it was AJ Styles and Omos that made a little arrangement with John Morrison and The Miz, as Miz had this match against Riddle that was coming up. They pretty much came out there, caused a little bit of shenanigans when it counted the most, essentially helping John Morrison pick up the win. Post-match, AJ Styles beating him down, messing him up with a Styles Clash. Fans were chanting for Randy Orton. No Randy in the house, though. Decent match that Jomo and Riddle had a lot of potential to, man, we got something that's kind of golden here. Again, you kind of got to look at this as a appetizer, if you will. But the fact that what we did here with this match was to pretty much use it as a setup to turn into an angle. I mean, I guess that's okay, because, you know, we're going into SummerSlam, and it's kind of one of those, you know, it kind of feels to me that Riddle is maybe gonna try to do any and everything he can to move heaven and earth to get Randy to back him up here. Because I'm telling you, I think the very next week, I feel as though Riddle is going to get his ass handed to him again. But then the week after, Riddle's pretty much going to be like, I made a phone call, got in contact with my bestie, my bro, Omos, AJ, we're going to see y'all asses at SummerSlam, and it's going to be for those Raw Tag Team titles. I just feel as though Randy Orton, Riddle, AJ, Omos for the tag titles, I feel like that's what's about to go down. Now the question, with as good of a momentum that AJ and Omos has been on, are you really going to go on ahead and take the titles off of them? Or are you going to put them on Riddle and Orton? Very delicate position right there, because WWE, they're in a good position right here, because on the one hand, you can go with that good feel moment for Riddle and AJ, but then on the other hand, you can further go that route of the teases that you kind of been doing there with Orton and Riddle. I mean, it could go either way. Man. It could go either way. Probably one of the lowest points of the entire night. Besides T-Bar, Mace, Mansoor, Ali, the lowest point, the 24/7 title match. Reginald defending against R-Truth. What a fucking dud. You know, some people say, oh, comedy was in here. Let me tell you something. I'm talking to somebody that grew up on Red Fox, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, George Carlin, Bill Burr, good God almighty, Paul Mooney, Martin Lawrence, Cedric Alexander, Cedric the Entertainer. I was going to say Cedric the Alexander. Cedric Entertainer. I mean, my God, I've had experienced some of the best when it comes to freaking comedy. This shit, Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks is like one of my all-time fucking favorites. Gone way too fucking soon. Dude was a fucking genius. Just a comedic genius. This, I saw no comedy. All I saw was some goddamn Power Ranger flips for 3 fucking minutes. That's all I saw. Whoopie fucking do. You know how to flip. Take your ass to the fucking Tokyo Olympics and try to help the USA win some fucking gold, because we can use it right now. Right now we're in fucking second place. Right? Japan's kicking our ass right now. Okay? So you want to do all that flippity, like, this for me was just, wasn't entertaining, wasn't comedy, wasn't enjoyable. It did nothing for me. Look, I'm not a Debbie Downer either. Look, when Jomo, when they're doing their thing, dripsticks, all of that, yo, I chuckle every time. I have a smile on my face. Don't mind it. Even the Alexa Bliss segments, whether she's on the swing, talking to Lily, not talking to Lily, even her shit is pretty tolerable. Especially if it's designed just right, the way the segment is supposed to be playing out and everything. Even her shit's more entertaining. This shit with Reginald, what the fuck? Then you got the Geek Squad that show up afterwards, and they're chasing him, and he's just flippity foo. Just, yeah. And that was pretty much Raw. We already talked about the main event match. But yeah, that pretty much was Raw. Yeah, in case you haven't figured it out by now, I need Reginald off my TV already. Like seriously, it ain't working. It ain't working. Just need him off the TV already. Anyway, decent Raw. Decent Raw. Really, 10 matches here. You really want to break it down. Really 8. But nice build up for what they were doing angle wise. Pretty much sewing it all up, getting it ready for SummerSlam. Well, they did pretty good overall. Hey, you guys, you are enjoying the show so far. You made it up to this point. Appreciate you guys. As always, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You hit that like. You do anything, hit the like. You don't have to subscribe. You do anything, hit that like button. You do that, helps push our content out there a lot more in the YouTube community, particularly for folks to be able to check out. Really helps out. Really helps out. You know, I was briefly mentioning it earlier there about Don Tony. And now I can officially, make the announcements in case some of you guys haven't been able to kind of figure it out just yet. So we got AWESOMECON that's going to be coming up this year in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. at the Washington Convention Center. Not only will I be returning there as part of the press media to cover the event, but I'm also going to be moderating and co-hosting a special panel there. We're going to be talking about the current state of pro wrestling in the entertainment industry. And joining me as co-host for this special panel is going to be Don Tony Show, and my brother in arms, Anthony Missionary Thomas from Wrestling Soup. So that is going to be a cool, kick-ass panel. I am looking forward to it. I'm very, very excited. You guys have no idea. Wifey will tell you, I have been just nonstop, what about this? What about this? I'm going through the fucking Avengers in-game scenarios. I'm like, I've been going crazy. And my girl's like, just whatever happens, happens. I'm like, okay, cool. So she's now gotten me calm to the point. Now I'm just preparing the show and we're pretty much just going from there. So I'm pretty excited. Am I nervous? Yeah, bet your bottom dollar. I'm nervous because I've never done anything like this on this type of magnitude. But, with everything that I've learned, these 10-something years combined with always interviewing folks from different types of mediums, I mean, this is up my alley. So, I think it's just really, if you ask me what's probably going to make me be the most nervous is the amount of people that could potentially be in attendance, because our panel in the auditorium that we're in, it can seat a max capacity of about 350 people. Now, I'm not expecting 350 people. For me, I'm expecting probably about 100 to 150 people because, we're on Friday. We're on Friday, day one of AWESOMECON, so, and we're coming on at kind of like early afternoon. So, I mean, look, my expectations are kind of low as far as the turnout. It could obviously be a lot more people than that. It honestly could, especially since we're talking DC as well. A lot of wrestling fans in the DMV. A lot of wrestling fans in the DMV. So, I mean, but for me, I'm thinking when I hear 350, I'm thinking, probably about 100 to maybe 150 will show up. And that's okay. Totally okay with that. But that's probably the thing that's making me nervous. And then having to look out into the crowd and just... So I'm trying to already get my mind as prepared as possible. But I can't wait to go back and cover the event. Should be loads fun. If you're going to be in the DMV area, again, on Friday, August 20th, definitely come on by. Definitely love to see you. I know for sure after we're done with our panel, we'll be sticking around for a couple of minutes in case anybody want to walk up to us for a quick chat, maybe take a quick photo or whatever. And we'll definitely make that time for you guys. So definitely definitely represent. Definitely represent. You can find out more information. Head on over to the AwesomeCon website. Awesome con. Put in that little hyphen slash. And yeah, it's like awesome. Put in the hyphen slash con.com, or just type in AwesomeCon. Being Google search, be the first link that you'll see. You can't freaking miss it. Hey, happy belated birthday to Triple H. Man, he's done it again. Or actually, no. I'm on time. Actually, I'm on time because we're on the East Coast. Today is officially the birthday of Triple H. He's now 52. Jesus Christ, 52. Time fucking flies. Seriously, time fucking flies. Where did all the time go? Seriously, where did all the time go? And Triple H has got to be the one guy that whenever I hear he's getting ready to make his in-ring return, even if it's for one night only or whatever, he's the one guy that I still get pretty excited for, with the exception of Edge. I'm happy that Edge, definitely Cena, but I mean, like, as far as like, just those sporadic appearances, like with the Takers and all of them, he's probably the only other guy that I get pretty excited about. And it wasn't always like that for me as a Triple H fan. It wasn't always like that for me. There were those periods where I couldn't stand Triple H. I couldn't stand him. I think when I started to turn around on Triple H was when he was out in the early 2000s and he had that first quad injury. And he pretty much had missed an entire freaking year. And I actually still have it on VHS. I have the Raw episode on VHS. Maybe one of these days I'll convert it over to DVD. And maybe we can do a live watch along. But I still have on VHS when he made his return to Madison Square Garden. I still remember the little vignettes and all that when they were pushing fucking U2's Beautiful Day. I still remember that. They showed when Triple H had his quad being operated on. Then they showed him when he was beginning his whole rehabbing process. And as he's doing the whole rehabbing, you've got U2 playing in the background. It's a beautiful day. Don't let it get away. Beautiful day. And then they pretty much, I still remember the promos for it. And I remember JR. This is one thing that stood out to me. Triple H returning next week, folks, and will it be a beautiful day when the Cerebral Assassin returns? I still remember that. And the crowd, I know it's been talked about on a couple of his DVDs, but you would have actually just had to experience it live when Raw had aired that night. I'll never forget. Me and my friends, we all would normally be on speakerphone Monday nights when Raw was on. I'm at my home, my friend's at her home, her boyfriend's at his home, and we're all on like a 3-way conference call, and we're all pretty much watching Raw, and we're keeping each other company and shit. And man, when Triple H came out, god damn. That was no auto-tune. That was no piped in. That was 100% authentic. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about that shit. Probably one of my favorite, greatest in-ring returns from a performer to date. When I just go down the list, like as far as like right up there, I think it was at that moment, just as a fan, when I was experiencing just, wow, it's kind of feels like a completely different beast now that we don't have Triple H here in the picture. And then by the time he returned, I was able to really appreciate him more as an in-ring performer. And from that point on, whatever hatred I might have had for him as a fan, not personal, I was just kind of like one of your typical WWE fans back then, which was, oh fuck, it's the Triple H show. God damn it, he's burying all my fucking favorites. Fuck this dude, and I was just cursing spree. But, after, the heart had grew so fond of, then it was like, okay, all right, hey, yeah, I did miss the guy. And I've pretty much never looked back ever since. Never looked back ever since. I didn't mind him in DX and all that. For me, like, just specifically, when he was going through that period where he was just steamrolling through the competition. I mean, just steamrolling. It was like, Jesus fucking Christ. But I don't know. When he made that return, I loosened up big time. I loosened up. You could make an argument that it was still essentially the Triple H show when he returned. Look, I don't agree with the fact that when he went into that year's WrestleMania, taking the undisputed titles off of Jericho, wasn't a fan of that. I felt Jericho should have continued to hold on to him much longer, and if you want to have Triple H just continue to, chase after him, okay, fine. You go ahead and you do that. But no, there's definitely some other questionable moments, that went down. Definitely. Yeah, because he made his return January 7th, 2002, Madison Square Garden. That's when he made his return. So just looking at that period there, 2002, 2005 for Triple H, I didn't mind. I didn't mind that whole run. The DX reunion, didn't mind that as well. The shit that he was doing with with Eric Bischoff, when Eric Bischoff had handed him the World Heavyweight Championship, the big gold belt. That for me was just what the fuck? Of course, that all had happened before, if I remember it right, that happened before he got injured. Yeah, that actually happened before he got injured. Because again, he came back January 7th, 2002. Yeah, 2002. And I'm just trying to think. Give me a second, because my mind's a little bit. Yeah, I remember when he got drafted to SmackDown. Now that I'm thinking about it, I remember when he got drafted to SmackDown. That did not last that long. I fucking remember that one. I remember that clear as fucking day. Shawn Michaels, NWO. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking about back then, man, but that shit was just fucking crazy. 2003, doing the whole thing with Evolution. You could even make an argument, not for nothing, but it's funny, we were just talking about Triple H's birthday, and I didn't mean to go down this rabbit hole, but I guess it comes with the territory when you're thinking about Triple H 52 and everything. But I just made an argument about Chris Jericho. He should have been the undisputed champion a little longer. You could definitely make an argument that when Triple H was doing his thing shortly after, injury and all with Evolution, and then eventually Goldberg came in, you could definitely make an argument that Goldberg, Scott Steiner, those guys should have. And with Scott Steiner, it just felt like Vince and them just completely gave up on Scott Steiner. Once they tried to see what was the peak they could get things to with Scott Steiner, it just felt like, okay, yeah, we're good. Fuck this. And that pretty much was it for Scott Steiner. Goldberg, on the other hand, got a little bit more shelf life, got a little bit more of a life expectancy than Scott Steiner did. But yeah. The feud there with Shawn Michaels, Hell in a Cell, Bad Blood. Yeah, I mean, the mid-2000 period of Triple H, for me personally, I felt that was some of his absolute best work for me personally. I didn't particularly care about the 06-07 run when DX did their little reunion and all that. I didn't particularly care about that. You go into the later 2000s. I got to really stop and think about the later 2000s, because right now my mind is a little bit fuzzy. When I say the later 2000s, I'm thinking about like 2007, to like maybe like 2012 or whatever, 2014. That's where my mind's a little bit more, kind of fuzzy. I know he was chief operating officer, was like 2011 for a couple of years there, but my mind starts to get a little bit fuzzier after that. And I think for very good reason. I think some of those spots were just kind of meh in his career. But 52 years of age, again, time flies fucking quick. Happy birthday to Triple H. Again, did not mean to go on that little rant about Triple H, but kind of glad that we did. It's kind of nice, I guess, sometimes to kick back and reminisce. I personally feel kind of nice to reminisce. Worst idea, Brawl for All or the Invasion? I think the better question that needs to be asked of that, because I remember in real time when Brawl for All first came out, myself and many of my friends who were also into wrestling, big into wrestling, we thought that was so fucking cool. That whole concept. We thought that was just fucking badass. Wait a minute. We're going to put these wrestlers in the ring and we're actually going to let them beat the living shit out of each other. Holy fucking yeah, sign us up. That's cool. And then for those of us that really weren't smart on the business just yet, we didn't know about the whole, inner workings and all, some of us, we're kind of like, well, wait a minute, what we see of them in the ring, isn't that like, I thought they were already like whooping each other's ass. Because again, some of us weren't smartened up to the business back then because we didn't have the social media, like you guys got it now. Way back in the day, if we were lucky, way back in the day, we had AOL, we had the Yahoo group chats. We also had MySpace. Now MySpace did not kick off until about, well, I think MySpace was founded in 2005, but 2003. But when it actually launched, I'd be shocked to hear if it launched in 2005. I kind of want to say MySpace had launched like after it was founded in 2003. I kind of want to say it launched in 2004. But internet, social media, like completely different beasts back then. So, and podcasts, that term like essentially didn't even exist on a regular basis, on a household regular basis from the tip of your tongue. So yeah. The invasion angle, on the other hand. The invasion angle, again, you just would have had to been a fan to experience that in real time. When the invasion angle first went down, there was so much excitement. There was so much buzz. And then, when you saw that there were guys like, just trying to think, the team alliance with Stone Cold Steve Austin, that really, really had created some of the best comedic gold for Stone Cold in his career. I mean, it definitely added a new layer, many new dimensions. I know that despite the commercial success, for some that they felt the invasion angle had, I mean, you ask any fan, it's very mixed. But I think unanimously everybody would agree that was following everything that was going on during that period of time when WCW and ECW pretty much had joined forces to form the alliance and pretty much try to challenge, the WWF. So pretty much it was Shane. Shane and Steph pretty much joining forces to try to get rid of their dad, pretty much once and for all, basically. There was a lot of potential that was there, but again, you're talking about some key names that was missing from WCW that probably could have made that whole invasion angle more worthwhile. But some of those guys that had the whole invasion angle thing, some of those guys that were from WCW, when WCW got bought out by WWE, that whole Time Warner AOL contract thing, as Kevin Nash alluded to, and you can hear it from his mouth on that Broken Skull Sessions episode, like, okay, I got all this money and I'm gonna risk that and go, nah, man, I can get paid for the next couple of years. I can ride this contract out and just take all of this fucking money. You know, my be all end all answer to the invasion angle, as long winded as it is, going through it in real time as a fan, not being smartened up about what all was really going on behind the scenes, for me, I thought it was pretty cool. It had me glued to the TV every single week, trying to see, like, okay, what are they gonna do next here? What's gonna happen here? But I also had big expectations as far as who else could pop up during this invasion angle, and you know, the end result, it left me feeling kind of disappointed, but it was still one of those cool moments where I go, hey, remember when this had happened? You know? So, to each its own. But for me, I thought it was cool at the time. Knowing what I know about it now, I go, wow, they tried, but so I can't really answer that question because for you guys that's like wondering what's going on, the haha Geo in the chat, yeah, he was asking what was the worst idea, Brawl for All or the invasion. So I really don't have an answer for that, because for me as the wrestling fan experiencing both of them, both of those events had its pros and cons, much like years later, once you learn everything that was going on with Brawl for All. And I remember when Brawl for All had went down. First of all, when the invasion angle went down, we're talking 2001. So I would have been 20 years old. I would have been 20 years old. And I can tell you, when I was 20, yeah, I was still watching my wrestling, but I really wasn't, watching like that. But from what I remember of the invasion angle, that shit was hot. For the WWE Brawl for All, that came out, oh God, what year was that? That was 98, so I would have been 17. 17 going on 18 when Brawl for All went down. Yeah. It would be the same answer when you look back on just, everything you were living through it in real time. It's like, oh, cool. But then when you get older and you learn about so much shit, and you're like, wait, what? And this happened because, and then you go, well, what were they thinking? So hopefully I answered your question. I can't answer it any more clearer than that. You know what? We're talking about all this retro talk. I wasn't trying to go into that whole, but Eddie Guerrero, let's end the show on this note. I told you guys, Raw, Eddie Guerrero, that's pretty much the show. So hopefully you appreciate this for what it's worth. But Eddie Guerrero, he had made headlines over the weekend. I don't even know how it got started up, but the subject of whether or not he is a B+ player came about. Some fans made the comment, hey, good B+ player. Only reason why people have him in such high infamy is because he died. And if it wasn't for his death, he wouldn't be thought highly regarded as. And so this had a lot of people just out of the woodworks. Even Mick Foley jumping out there saying, Eddie Guerrero, A+ player, hands down. First of all, ain't nothing wrong with a B+. You should always strive for greatness. but ain't nothing wrong getting a B plus. A B plus is definitely still gonna have people look your way. If you in college or you getting ready to go to college, you trying to get those scholarships, you're trying to get those grants. Yeah, B pluses, you're gonna find some people that are gonna work with you. You show a report card full of B pluses, people are gonna want to hear from you without a doubt. Okay, so first of all, ain't nothing wrong with being a B plus. Second of all, people are entitled to their own opinion. You have those that when they read this about Eddie Guerrero being a B plus, some of these people that honestly were just giving their opinion. It's just an honest opinion, no malice behind it, wasn't trying to troll, just wasn't even trying to debate, just putting a thought out there and getting lambasted online. It's quite sad. It's quite sad when you stop and you think about it. Really, it's quite fucking sad. And let me just do this real quick here. I need you guys to bear with me a second here. Let me go ahead and real quick here. And let me bear with me here. And to the person in the chat who is spamming the hell out of Cornette is God, hey, my friend, I love Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette is one of the coolest fucking guys that's out there. As far as guilty pleasures, as far as shows I like to check out at the end of the day when I'm not doing my shows, I love checking out Jim Cornette. You know what I don't love though? I don't love people that want to pop into the chat trying to disrupt it, spreading these, spamming the hell out of these silly little messages over and over again. I'm sorry. Like, is that supposed to cause me to be upset? Is that supposed to cause me to be insecure? Is that supposed to cause me to, you understand what I'm saying? Like, no. Some of the shows that I listen to, some of the people that I support are guys like Jim Cornette. Even though he rubs people the wrong way, I hear Jim, I hear him out. I don't agree with all of the points that he makes, but I respect the hell where he's coming from. I'm telling you something. Jim has a very keen eye when it comes to the fine details. I can't tell you how many times I have listened to him review an episode of AEW Dynamite, something that maybe me or my other friends in the podcasting world might have missed, and he's got his pen and paper and he's going through frame by frame by frame by frame by frame. It's crazy. It is crazy. Vince Russo, and we actually happen to follow each other on Twitter. True story. At one point when he was looking for a co-host for one of his shows, I had volunteered. Ask Vince Russo, he'll tell you. He wanted to go in a different direction though. He wanted to go with someone that was more established, of a journalist, podcaster, if you will. He wanted to go with a more, here's a name that everybody knows. Basically, he wasn't trying to go with an independent cat such as myself. And I respected that. I totally respected that. But no, we follow each other on Twitter. His work is one that I support. So as far as I'm concerned, those guys, and look, I'm not dare putting myself, no, because what they have done respectfully for the sport of professional wrestling, what they're doing in the podcasting industry and all that. Look, not for nothing, but I started my podcast long before those guys did. But to be able to see what they've been able to do since they've embraced the technology, embraced the podcasting world and all that, I love it. I think they are doing phenomenally well. Phenomenally well. So you're not going to find here me throwing shade or me I have no problem plugging other podcasts. Lord knows, every single time I get a chance, I plug the hell out of my friends in Wrestling Soup and Don Tony. Those are my brothers in arms. I love those guys. I respect the hell out of those guys. My man, Jason Solomonster, I respect the hell out of him. I love the hell out of him. That's my brother. You know, love those guys. So in all of those shows that I mentioned, here's the beautiful part. We all know about each other and we all respect each other. So coming into a chat and thinking, you know, you're going to be causing a ruckus because no, not here. But if you're just going to spam, well, you're quickly going to be shown the exit as far as I'm concerned. So keeping that in mind, look, Eddie Guerrero, this isn't long or drawn out either. In regards to Eddie Guerrero, those that feel that he is a B+ guy, this is what I have to say to that. First of all, how long were you watching the career of Eddie Guerrero? Legit, that would be my first question. Because anybody that is a true Eddie Guerrero fan, oh my God, what era of Eddie Guerrero are we talking? You know, are we going to go with the Eddie Guerrero that was essentially doing his thing in AAA? Are we going to go talk about that? Are we going to talk about when Eddie was tearing it up in New Japan for a hot minute? We going to talk about that? Or are we going to talk about when Eddie Guerrero was tearing it up with Two Cold Scorpio for the ECW championship when he was in ECW for a hot minute? The great matches that he was doing with Dean Malenko. Are we going to talk about that? Or maybe we're going to talk about the period where Eddie Guerrero was in WCW and when he was going after the WCW United States Championship that at one point was held by Ric Flair. And then, I also remember Diamond Dallas Page. Diamond Dallas Page also had it too because he was feuding with both of those guys for the championship. So are we maybe going to go in that direction? There was like one other guy that he was feuding with as well for the Conan. He was feuding with Conan for the WCW United States Championship as well. Or what about when he put his attention on the WCW Cruiserweight Championship and he began feuding with Chris Jericho? Are we maybe going to go in that direction? The great matches, feuds that he had there with Rey Mysterio. You know, are we going to talk about that particular time period? And I think for a majority of the fans, if you really home in on that period of his career, that's when fans really had latched on. You had the smarten up fans that knew about Eddie Guerrero from some of the magazines that they were reading, a couple of wrestling newsletters that was out there, you know, so they kind of knew who was who. So that by the time he showed up in WCW and all that, really ECW, they pretty much knew what this guy was about and everything. But man, I tell you what, even if you weren't smarting up like that, when you saw what this guy was capable of doing in WCW, you just, you know, and I'm speaking as a fan that witnessed everything of Eddie Guerrero's career in real time. From ECW, WCW to WWE. And at that particular period in time, I don't remember any of my inner circle of friends looking at Eddie Guerrero when he was in WCW going, oh, you know what? He'd make a good world heavyweight champion. None of us said any of that. The one thing that we all said and that we all agreed on was, man, that Eddie Guerrero, he knows how to fucking tell a story. Eddie Guerrero knows how to put on an entertaining match. That dude is fucking beast. That's the one thing that we all kept saying repeatedly. Nobody said anything about, nobody said anything about oh, he can be a world heavyweight champion. Or nobody was thinking that. Everybody back then was just, they wanted to be entertained. They wanted to watch a really good, entertaining match. And when it came to WCW, if you tuned in and you knew that, wait a minute, Eddie Guerrero's wrestling tonight, that's going to be fire. Rey Mysterio's wrestling tonight, oh, that's going to be fire. Dean Malenko's wrestling tonight, dude, that's going to be fire. Chris Benoit's wrestling tonight, yeah. Oh shit, Jushin Thunder Liger's wrestling, oh, yep. Conan's going to be wrestling tonight. Yeah, fuck it. Like, that's what you had became accustomed to when you were watching WCW. You know, so when he came to WWE, let's not beat around the bush. When he came to WWE with Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit, Perry Saturn, and they were, you know, the Four Radicals, I remember the initial pops, seeing all four of those guys when they just hopped the fucking wall barrier, all that shit on Raw. I remember when all that shit had went down. And it was like, whoa, it's the WCW guys, whoa. And you know, you had that buzz, you had that excitement, but then after we got to see them on a regular basis, we're going, yeah, this radical thing, I don't really know. But you guys are talented as fuck. So yeah, if anybody can like make this work, you guys can, but I want to see you as a solo act. And for a lot of us back then, the guys that we looked at for solo acts in WWE, a lot of us were very, very high on Dean Malenko. In this order: Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Perry Saturn. That's how a lot of us looked at the order in which we felt those guys from most successful to least successful. That's how we looked at it back then. And then we saw what ultimately happened with Eddie Guerrero. You know, there was a trajectory in his career where it kind of seemed, and he touched upon this, you know, in some interviews, definitely the one RF shoot interview that he did with Rob Feinstein. Check that out. That's a nice little gem for you guys while we're talking Eddie Guerrero. You know, he got to a point in his career where the drugs was fucking with him. And if you were an Eddie Guerrero fan up to that point, you just couldn't help but go, man, you got so much potential here in the WWE. Again, this is a period where when I talk about who could be most successful, when we're looking at the Four Radicals, we weren't looking at those guys going future world heavyweight. We weren't saying that. What we were saying as wrestling fans was, okay, these guys are over here now. Out of these four guys, who can be the most successful? That's how a majority of us were looking at it. Now, if some of you guys want to, you know, twist that and be like, okay, world champion, that's on you. But the way majority of us looked at it, we just were like, okay, you're over here now. Okay, all four of you guys. Okay, who can be a lot? You know, they tried to do their best with Perry Saturn, Mop, and yeah, that just ain't that sad. That's how we remember Perry Saturn, Mop. That's all we think about, Mop. But he, in his own right, he was a goddamn good in-ring guy as well. You know, he really, really was. But, you know, as we saw, WWE didn't have much of a afterthought on a long-term basis there for Dean Malenko as an in-ring competitor. And he did phenomenally well backstage, you know, in-ring producer, you know, backstage producer and all that. He did phenomenal in that position for many, many years. So, you know, for us, you know, we really didn't start coming around to Eddie Guerrero as a main event attraction, a main event superstar. We really did not start coming on board to that. Not even when Eddie was doing his thing with China. Not even when Eddie was doing his thing with China and they had that whole Mamacita thing going on. Even when all of that, not even at that point, no bullshit. Again, you're talking to somebody that lived through that actual time period. There was no, you know, that Eddie Guerrero that's with China? Yeah, man, he'd be a great world heavyweight. Anybody that tells you that, fucking bullshit. Fucking bullshit. Okay? Seriously. We didn't start looking at Eddie Guerrero as, okay, you know what? This guy, the first time we go, he might be world champion material. Not really until Los Guerreros. Not really until Los Guerreros. Because then you started to see a lot more of his personality come out. Very big, very flamboyant, and man, the different demographics that he had in the palm of his hands. I mean, man, again, you would have had to been living through it back then. He had the teens. He had the adults. He had the women. He definitely had the men. He had the blacks. He had the whites. He had the Hispanics. He had the Asians. There was a lot of love for Eddie. A lot of love. You know, and you're looking at that, you're going, man, you know, why don't they do something with this guy? That was what we asked ourselves, like, why don't they do something with him? Why not Eddie? That's really Los Guerreros. Because again, the personality. Sure, you saw, you know, a little something with China, but nobody was going just yet. But the chatter really began with Los Guerreros. And then, man, when he just started to pick up some serious bulk there, and you're going, oh, okay, this dude looked like he's taking it to another level here. You know, like, we noticed it. We noticed when he was getting bigger. We're like, damn, Eddie been eating his spinach. What the hell's going on here? I mean, he was looking... When he had the match with Brock Lesnar, No Way Out. Championship on the line. I still remember the feud, the promos, everything going into that match. And that, for me, really sealed the deal of, okay, Eddie Guerrero, yes, fuck yeah. He is a future world heavyweight champion. I don't know if it'll come at the expense of Brock Lesnar, but he's definitely a future world heavyweight champion for sure. But then lo and behold, you know, he fucking, oh, by the way, how could I mention all of those great moments in Eddie Guerrero's career and I forget about Filthy Animals and Latin World Order? Come on now, I got to make sure I throw some love in there for those time periods as well. But no, when he went into that No Way Out WWE pay-per-view and became the world heavyweight champion, I mean, that was like, holy shit. Are you serious? It's like they pulled the trigger, like, and we didn't think WWE would. We just kind of felt like, nah, they like the big guys. They like the, you know, but then when you really thought about it, what Eddie Guerrero might have not had in size, he definitely made up for with personality. And it was awesome. It was awesome. I remember that championship run. As short as it kind of was, I remember that championship run, and it was pretty badass. It was pretty badass from what I remember. Yeah, a lot of fond memories. A lot of fond memories of Eddie Guerrero. When I think about Eddie Guerrero, and remember, that was his second return to the WWF that we're talking about. Remember, that was that period there, late 2000s. So we're talking like 2002 going into 2005, that period we're talking about. Because remember, you know, when he left WWE the first go round, the drugs, that pretty much was kicking his ass, and he pretty much was on the independents for a hot little bit, trying to clean himself up. He returned to New Japan too. He was in New Japan for a brief cup of coffee. He was there. But when he returned to the WWE, WWF, remember, everything kicked off with Los Guerreros. Everything had kicked off with that. But then when he became the WWE champion, man, go back and watch that match. And just to hear the pop that came from the crowd, holy shit. Holy shit. Magical. Magical. You cannot duplicate that. It was just fucking magical. And then, yeah, that victory, by the way, now that I'm thinking about it, that victory, when he did that, if I remember correctly, it made him a Triple Crown champion. It made him a Triple Crown champion and a Grand Slam champion in the process, believe it or not. Then when he feuded with Kurt Angle later that year at WrestleMania, WrestleMania 20, to retain the title. Then he began the feud with John Bradshaw Layfield. That was one of my most favorite fucking feuds, by the way. I fucking love that. Look up JBL Eddie Guerrero for the title Texas Bull Rope match. Fucking classic. Fucking classic. Of course, the feud there with Rey Mysterio and Dominic, our first introduction to young Dominic Mysterio. You know, it's tragic that Eddie had passed away at the age of 38 because he was at the pinnacle of his career. He was starting to scratch the surface there. You know, and I still remember to this very day, and you'll see it on the Eddie Guerrero documentary there. You know, Stephanie McMahon, she reveals that prior to Eddie Guerrero passing, remember now, and we talked about this many years ago on the tribute joint that we did for Eddie. Remember, there was a pay-per-view that weekend, and before Eddie Guerrero had passed, if you guys recall, because what was it? Minneapolis, Minnesota, I think was where the pay-per-view was supposed to be. But that weekend's pay-per-view where Eddie was supposed to attend, Stephanie McMahon had revealed that, because it was like a tournament or something like that. And they were trying to, I think, crown a new champion or something along those lines. And Stephanie McMahon had revealed that Eddie, at that pay-per-view, he was supposed to win. And he was supposed to be the new champion. And I believe they had mentioned it to Eddie. And he was pretty excited and everything. He was very excited. And, you know, but it sadly, you know, it didn't come to be. It didn't come to be. I believe it was a pay-per-view that was going. There was something that was supposed to be going on that weekend. And Stephanie had passed the message along to him, and he was very excited because when they ultimately took the title off of him, he was pretty bummed about it. He was excited and everything when he became the champion, but he was a little bit bummed out about it because I remember there was a period, and I'll have to research this a little bit more because my mind's a little fuzzy right now, but if I remember correctly, the pay-per-view buy rates and the house show gates were a little bit low during Eddie's time as champion. I mean, it was decent, but looking at that trajectory, you could maybe make an argument, okay, well, at this trend is going to continue to go down, maybe we should kind of back away from this and kind of go in a different direction. Maybe we should kind of shake it up a little bit or whatever. I think because he died at the pinnacle of when he was just starting to really scratch the surface, because we saw him at his truest potential, his truest tapped into potential. We saw him dialed up, but we didn't get it all the way dialed up to 10. You know, I can't help but look at his death so young and compare it to one other person where you can't help but go, okay, well, you know what? If this person did not pass, would the mystique still be surrounding them? Would they still have that legacy that's about them and everything? I can't help but compare, again, the passing of Eddie, so young and everything. I can't help but compare it to Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee passed away, shockingly, at the age of 32. It's so funny too, because if you've never watched it, I recently promoted it on the show over the weekend. Check out the ESPN 30 for 30 documentary on Bruce Lee. It's called Be Like Water, or Be Water, something like that. But look it up. I learned a couple of new things, and I'm like an encyclopedia of all things Bruce Lee, but there was a couple of things I learned about that I did not know about. That had kind of took me back and everything. But, the one thing that you look at Eddie Guerrero, you look at Bruce Lee, and, where there's the strong similarities, both men dying pretty young, leaving kids behind, and then asking yourself there, wow, and in the case of Eddie, Eddie truly did not know how well beloved he was amongst the fans, and I'm sure kind of, a little bit similar there to Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee knew his love was appreciated. He knew his work was appreciated, right? But to the magnitude of when Enter the Dragon, was released, man, if he'd been alive to see, wow, he did break through, right? And with Eddie Guerrero, man, he finally broke through. He was beginning to see the fruits of his labor. Then it's cut short. And thus the legacy, it's heightened, it's elevated even more. You feel where I'm coming from? So for me, I don't look at Eddie Guerrero and go with that whole grade level of, B plus. And it's real easy for people to throw that type of shit and number grades out there when they especially haven't lived through that actual time period. They actually did not see all of that shit in real time. I'll tell you this much. I have more respect and appreciation for somebody that did live through that period and they feel like he was a B plus player. At least I can look that person in the eyes and I know exactly where they're coming from because, okay, just off some of the stuff that we laid out and talked about here tonight, okay, yeah, you could definitely make an argument that as far as if you're really asking the question, was he truly world heavyweight champion material? The answer to that really is, well, what time period? Because if we're looking at a specific time period from Eddie's career, then yeah, you could definitely look at it as no, not world heavyweight championship material here. Definitely a impact player, definitely a B plus player right here. But I'm telling you, once Eddie had finally got his shit together and he was hungry and he was determined, I mean, we saw him at his absolute fucking best. And what he was hammering out, I dare say, was the absolute apex of his career, personally. And for it to be just cut so short, I guess it's better to burn out than to fade away, right? And you kind of, again, the similarities there between Bruce Lee and Eddie Guerrero. So that's where I stand on that. Notice I never did say Eddie Guerrero B plus player or, notice I never, I'm just telling you guys how you need to take a step back and really look at it and, quietly come to your own conclusion. And whatever decision you make, look, you don't need to broadcast it on social media. You don't need to let the world know about it, especially these days, because, man, everybody's got a fucking opinion on Twitter and Instagram, and heaven forbid you say something that motherfuckers don't agree with. I mean, it's one thing, friendly debate, But man, just seeing how some people were essentially being verbally lynched online just for even saying that he was a B+ player. Real fans that lived through all of that know the deal. They know the deal, and you just heard from one of them here tonight. So take it for all it's worth. You're left to your own devices. Anthony, appreciate the kind words. Amazing show, Lee. You rock. Well, no, you rock. Thank you. Thank you for representing and checking out the show. Of course. Do I believe Dean Malenko was underutilized in the WWF? Of course. Hands down, of course. Size for one. Lacking in the promos. Two, they tried to do a little something with him, but there was nothing there. But I mean, really, the size, that's what it was all about. It was that size. If Dean Malenko maybe would have been coming up during the 40s, 50s, 60s, even right at about the 70s, during the truest peak of the territorial times, he might have been all right. He probably would have been all right. If we could have taken that Dean Malenko from WCW and essentially have him running around, today, had him running around with the CM Punks, with the Daniel Bryans, I hate to speculate, but you just would like to believe he would have had a strong chance. If not in WWE, definitely with a Ring of Honor, with a New Japan, with an MLW, with an Impact. He probably would have thrived better than in WWE. So yeah, for sure. All right, so we've been going at it now for about, let me look here. We've been going at it now for about 2 hours. I'm seeing 2 hours, 16 minutes, but I think there was about 6 minutes of false start time. So about a 2 hour, 10-minute show, pretty much. And I got to put ads in the show still. So we're going to go on ahead, call this show DONE done. Your next edition is going to be dropping Wednesday. Now, heads up, I will actually be live this Tuesday night. The plan, because I know normally you guys get your NWA hookup. I'll be live with you guys, but it's going to be late. I'm actually getting off work at 7. And so by the time I'm done watching NWA, I come on live. It should be actually, I think it's going to be maybe 8 or 9 o'clock by the time we come on. So what I don't know right now is if I'll come on live during NXT or if I'll come on live after NXT goes off the air. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do with that. But there is going to be a Tuesday night show covering NWA Power Fallout. And then Wednesday, we'll be back again. We'll be talking AEW Dynamite, NXT Fallout. I'll also have more to say about the recent events at GCW. We'll also talk about Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, loads of cool shit that we'll be able to get into on Wednesday's show. So do check that out. That should be pretty damn good. Once again, I said it earlier in the night. Once again, congrats to Matt Cardona for becoming the new GCW champion. Did not see the pay-per-view, and that is honestly because I'm gearing up for not only AWESOMECON, I'm also gearing up to cover the NWA 73 and Empower pay-per-views. So, I gotta get ready to go back to college soon. I'm on a little bit of a break right now from my classes, but I'm saving up money and getting ready to do that all over again. So gotta be smart with the money. You guys enjoyed the show. Do me a huge favor as you guys get ready to make your exit, because we could be here all night. I got work in the morning, so I got to get this mixed and I got to get this rocking and rolling, because we got some clients that's going to be waiting for this actually. As you guys get ready to make your exit, if you haven't done so already, please hit that like button. When you do that, helps push the content out there more. for folks to check out, especially on the YouTube platforms. Yeah, do that. And you can get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords, the RCWR Show. And until next go round, wishing all of you all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. Shout out to those of you that tuned in live. Special shout out to those of you that are going to be checking this out for on demand and on the download.